Alright, it is time to start another What If. And today is going to be a quick What If, thankfully. But I'm going to do a lot of requests because, well, I've been slacking off on those lately. So, yeah, expect some request What Ifs to come in very soon this year. Because I think 2024 is going to be mostly nothing but requests. But anyway, today we're going to talk about what would happen if Narachia stayed behind and Fugo went with Team Butrati. And I know I technically did a video like this a while back, but I think this is a unique concept, and it's more or less just talking about the idea of what would happen if one of the members of Team Butrati stayed and the other one left. And plus, to be fair, I never really did a Fugo version of it, like what if Fugo stayed behind, or join the team, because a lot of people already cover it, so this is going to be the closest you'll get to a what if like this. But anyway, get yourself comfortable and enjoy the video. But before I do the video, I gotta thank someone, and that it is Cosmic, who requested the what if. So I hope I do your video justice. And I hope you enjoyed the most because you requested it, so you deserve an actual good video. So let's actually start the changes, shall we? Alright, so let's talk about the actual changes. So in this timeline, most of 5 obviously goes the same from the beginning all the way till when we get to the boat scene, because obviously nothing else really changes here. So we get to the scene, and in this timeline, Fugo agrees to go instead. So he actually does go on the boat, and instead Narachia is confused, not knowing what to do. And then Bruno and Fugo would probably both agree that Narachia shouldn't do this mission. He's still young and all that they don't want him to get in trouble. They don't want him to get hurt or killed. So Narachia listens because he's going to obey them. He doesn't really know what to say. With more people around to tell him not to do it, he'll probably listen. So that just leads to Narachia just standing behind. Like in not like in Canada, but like in Fugo's case, where he stays behind. So, with that being said, everyone tells Narachia the same thing he was told originally, but he actually does decide to listen. And in the case of Fugo, he actually agrees to be loyal for once. So, after that point, we get to the story, and we start off with Clash and Talking Head, which was a Narachia-based fight. So in this timeline, since Fugo's replacing Narachia, I'm more or less going with the assumption that he's going to fight Clash and Talking Head. So if it's Fugo versus Clash and Talking Head, in my opinion, it likely leads to a very interesting fight, to say the least. So realistically speaking, it honestly depends on how Fugo uses his abilities, since technically speaking, Fugo is forced to always tell lies because Talking Head is in Fugo's mouth and controls what Fugo does and says. It's kind of similar to the entire Narachia thing, but I think Fugo may be more calm about it. Seeing how he's a lot more intelligent than Narachia, he may keep a more level head in this kind of scenario. Even though he's very short-tempered, Fugo is a lot more collective than Narachia was basically during the entirety of Part 5. So Fugo would more or less try to not lash out on emotions and would try to be logical. Think logically here, kind of different to Narachia, and I do believe he may just use Purple Haze's virus to take out Talking Head. Its user, Tiziano or Squallow, I don't know. That's their names, but I don't know who had Withstand. And I think Fugo may just use Purple Haze in a creative enough way. He may just get infected by the end of the fight, but Giorno can give him an antidote and heal him at the end. So Fugo can live at the end, but he would need to use Purple Haze just to poison himself, just so he can take them out, in my opinion. So it kind of gives Fugo a cool moment, in my opinion. Then after that is the Notorious B.I.G. fight, which Narachia really doesn't do anything. Maybe you could say, oh, he scattered out where B.I.G. was. I mean, it's true, but then again, Mista was on guard, so that entire thing could just go the same. If anything, the fight could end up being a lot quicker since Purple Haze just kills the virus capsule. His virus capsules just straight up destroy the big giant flesh monster muscle guy. like whatever BIG is supposed to be. Because Purple Haze has the power to basically kill any living being in a very short amount of time if it gets touched with its virus powers. So with that being said, Notorious BIG is going to be dealt with a lot quicker, meaning Trish may never develop her own stand. So you're looking at a probably a lot more different version of Part 5. Like, around the ending half, because Trish may never even get her stand. After that point, that leads to the entire thing of them going to where Diavolo and Trish's mom met. And then that leads to the beach stuff, and then that leads to Risotto vs. Doppio, which still happens, but the ending's a lot different. Because Narancia's stand Aerosmith was tracking down Risotto and Doppio in case there were anyone around. And Aerosmith was the reason behind Doppio actually being able to kill Risotto. And since Doppio is Diavolo, and that Risotto would actually end up killing Doppio, who's Diavolo, that means Diavolo might die in this arc. Unless Fugo is left to scout around the area, and maybe he just notices in time, and then he just poisons Risotto or something. But I can't really say for certain. It's likely that Fugo may actually just fail at the end. Unless you want to go a route where it's like Trader Fugo, and if you want to use the cut Trader subplot in this timeline, it could definitely work. Like, Fugo gets hired out, and he's basically sent to basically poison Risotto, and him and Diavolo just kill him together. That's if you want to do a Trader Fugo timeline out of this, which I'm not going to for the sake of this story. And in this timeline, Purple Haze should realistically not be able to kill him because Purple Haze's styling of fighting is a lot more different than, what was his face's? Narancia's stand. So with that being said, Doppio actually dies and Risotto is actually able to kill him. Now the big question is, what does Risotto do after the death of Doppio? Well, with the boss now being dead, and obviously Team Bucciarati not being caught in the loop, Risotto's probably going to go to Passione, and he's likely going to tell them that he killed the boss, meaning it's going to be Chocolate, Secco, and Risotto battling for the top position. In my opinion, I think it just depends on how the fight goes. I think Risotto should be able to do it, but seeing how Risotto mostly uses short-range attacks, basically not killing them, but instead bleeding people out, it's likely Chocolate and Secco might actually win this one. I don't know, it's kind of hard. I could see Risotto maybe winning, but just keeping them alive as henchmen, I guess. So then he just sends Chocolate and Secco out to fight Team Bucciarati, which leads to a kind of similar fight like in canon. And instead, maybe it's just Risotto versus... Maybe it's Risotto taking the place of Diavolo and going to the Rome Coliseum. I guess for, like, the final arcs, like the Chocolate and Secco stuff, as for how Fugo could fit in that part of the story, he's got a very powerful stand. He may just get injured like Narachia, but assuming not, he's probably just going to help Bruno, or he could just help Giorno and Mista. Or maybe he can fight Chocolate and be the one to deliver the 7-page beatdown, since Fugo was originally going to take that beatdown in Chocolate's place. So that technically then leads to Fugo actually being the one to take Giorno's place instead of it being Chocolate taking Fugo's place. It's a kind of weird switch around for Fugo, which would be kind of funny. And it could give Fugo some kind of character development, and him needing to realize that his stand isn't that bad, because he's been using it more in this timeline in very creative enough ways to actually defeat his enemies, which is actually kind of cool, because it gives him some kind of character development. After this, we still get the whole thing with Bruno and Secco. Risotto probably gets involved somehow in the story. Bruno finds a way to kill Doppio. And by that point, Risotto may just kill him, or Bruno may just mistake Risotto as someone else. At that point, Risotto may just kill Bruno right there or something. But assuming Bruno is able to somehow make it to the Rome Coliseum before Risotto can kill him, then that leads to Polner versus Risotto. And I think Risotto can win. Honestly, I don't even think they need Requiem to deal with Risotto. He's a strong fighter, don't get me wrong, but he's not going to be OP enough that Requiem should do the job. In theory, I think that a base version of Silver Chariot and Golden Experience should actually be able to defeat him. Plus, Purple Haze is also powerful enough to beat him. I also think Bruno should be able to beat him too, so for the most part, I don't really know how much the story could change. As for who lives and dies, I'd assume Bruno's still gonna die because of him being like a dead corpse possessing a human body and all that. He was destined to die at the end because of that. Fugo, it's honestly kind of hard to say what his fate would be. Maybe he just takes Narachia's fate instead and dies to Risotto. Assuming that Requiem isn't really going to play that big of a role in this timeline, and maybe it's just Metallica Requiem, and the group having to get very creative to beat Metallica Requiem, I don't know. I think Fugo and Polnareff might end up dying, same with Bruno. Bacchio probably just gets killed by Risotto instead, and then Giorno, Mista, and Trish are probably the survivors. But then again, maybe Fugo can live. That one I'll leave up to you. And if you're wondering, like Purple Ace feedback included, Narachia replacing Fugo is hard to say for certain. And my memory of Purple Haze feedback, I haven't seen it in a while, so I'm not gonna be. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while, so my memory is gonna be a little rusty. But from what I remember of it, the ending fight needed the Trish's me speech. I do believe Narachia could definitely have some kind of rage amp from one of his allies dying, assuming he knows what happened after the event and who lives and dies at the end, since Bruno and Bacchio die, and Fugo's probably also going to die at the end. So that actually would give Narachia a strong enough rage amp to actually kill the main villain. Maybe we see an Aerosmith evolution. I don't know how you evolve Aerosmith past its original design. If you have a cool Aerosmith evolution idea, tell me in the comments. And then maybe Giorno meets Narachia, and Narachia decides that he's loyal to Giorno now. And by that point, it just leads to everything kind of going the same. Nothing much would really change in the overall grand scheme of things. It's just the second half of Part 5 would change and would look a lot more different than it canonically did, because Narachia played a big role in Diavolo making it as long as he did in Part 5. So in other words, you can maybe say Narachia caused more harm than good to the existence of Part 5. But that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. I wonder if you enjoyed it. Special thanks to Cosmic for requesting this specific what if idea. Do you think I did it justice, Cosmic? Tell me in the comments. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time.